Prova, prova. Sassa. Ok. Tanto poi noi... sì, perché... preferisci in piedi? In piedi? No, no, non c'è problema. Online. 3. Prova, prova, sì, sì. Sa. Prova. Ok. So, good afternoon to everybody. It's a kind of emotion to talk in English here. And welcome to Calimera, welcome to this space. And thank you for the mayor of the city, and also to Alessandro for the availability of this space. I'm Salvo Modeo. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Qube. The Qube is a local incubator. We work with young people that want to create a new startup, and also with the startup that want to get funding and start their business in Puglia or in Italy. Thank you to the Puglia region. We are working also with the company that want to digitalize their processes or transform their business in a new innovative business model. We are here today because we are promoting a new kind of project with the PugliaTech, and this is a kind of event that is important for the networking activities, but also to know each other and create part of the network. Remember that to have a success in the startup development, it's important the product, it's important the market, but it's very important the network. So thank you to be here, thank you to be part of this ecosystem, and I hope that you will enjoy the event, and also at the end of the event that you will enjoy also the networking. With me there is Alessia Cazzato, is the Councillor for the economic development at the municipality of Calimera, and thank you to be here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm Alessia Cazzato, and I have the honor of serving as Councillor for Productive Activities for Municipality of Calimera. Let me say that I'm a bit emotional today because here in Calimera it's not unusual to speak in Greek during cultural events. Greek is our local minority language. But it's quite rare to have the chance to speak in English, especially for an event of international scope. That makes this moment even more special. It's a very pleasure to have you today, to welcome you today in our community library. This is the place that represents not only culture and knowledge, but also connectivity, opportunity, and innovation. We want to thank PugliaTechs for having chosen Calimera as the first step of this new series of seminars dedicated to the internationalization of businesses and the scale-up of startups. Your presence here is a sign of trust in our community and in its potential. And I want to thank Vicepresident and the Qube for making this opportunity possible and choosing Calimera as a starting point. In a world where entrepreneurship and innovation need to travel far and fast, moments like these are essential for building networks, sharing tools, and growing together. To all participants, I wish you a productive and inspiring day of work, and I warmly invite you to come back and visit us soon in Calimera. Calimera will be always ready to welcome you with open arms, fresh ideas, and a strong connection to the future. Thank you, everybody.
So, next step, I will invite Francesco De Lorenzi from PugliaTech. Francesco is the Vice President of the association, and he will teach us the main activities of the association, and then we'll start the activities in detail. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Thanks again to Calimera for hosting us. As we mentioned, this is our first trip outside of the of Bari province. We're aiming at expanding across all different provinces of Puglia for our mission. So this is our first little step outside Bari with our global roots. So I'll just take this. Great. So what is PugliaTechs? PugliaTechs is a grassroots community. Now it's an association that has the goal of making Puglia a global tech hub. So to do this, to pursue this ambition mission, we start from the premises. We are always bombarded by real life stories around how our talents are moving abroad to seek the fulfillment professionally and building businesses. But is it a trajectory we want to have? So to fight this in our way with our strengths and our talents, we gather a group of passionate tech enthusiasts, startup founders, corporates, and are strongly connected with local institutions. And as we saw, startup founders are the real driver with innovation and ideas. We start from Puglia, but Puglia is our roots. Our goal is to look at the worldwide perspective. Our mission is to create an opportunity for everyone to share knowledge, to create opportunities to network, to experiment and scale to access to investors and favorable institutions. Our vision is, as we mentioned, is to create a real renaissance of Puglia that goes through our talents and to drive innovation from our region to bordering regions, countries, and with a global perspective. How do we do this? We keep Puglia roots, but we maintain a global perspective. So for us to be able to do this, we need to be competitive, but still stay connected to our roots. Geographically, so keeping and staying here as much as possible and creating opportunities for Apulians from here and for people from abroad believing in our region to work and to create new businesses. But also, again, we want to empower the local talents. We want our local talents to flourish, and we do this by combining both our creativity and historical resilience, but also creating a flywheel of community networking and experience exchange. So how do we actually do this before we see how we got there? I just mentioned the networking part, the knowledge sharing. So our main pillar around PugliaTechs is really around putting two angles, the tech and the business. So today you're going to see the same. So we're going to look at business from a tech perspective, and also we're going to have a panel where we'll be discussing the perspectives of launching a business from Salento. So always putting tech as a medium and not as a destination, as we want to solve real life problems. This is a bit of a story in 8+ months. As we can see, we have gathered interest from multiple hosting partners. So we had events on a monthly basis, as we're doing in July, and we were hosted by universities and medium to large enterprises around Puglia. So we're honored of this, and today is another great example of how we create a broader community for everyone. Our presence is on our website, it's on LinkedIn, and we have a Telegram channel that we invite you to. The ambition is to create a flywheel across all the different actors, institutions, corporates, startups, and talents. How do we do this? We want to build a corporate network to allow corporates to have access to our local talents, to drive and connect to innovation, and have a lead generation of and create opportunities from our local talents and startups. So to do this, we are currently securing 15 slots across corporates that believe in our project. We are finalizing the first 3 slots already with corporates that are interested in our project, and we are continuing this trajectory of 15 believers across corporates to drive with us this mission. How do we do this? We believe in the flywheel. So this means that if we nurture talents and create product and services, this will drive cash into the flywheel. But at the same time, we'll need to connect with investors, and we also need to create opportunities for all of us in the space. So the only way is for the community to act as a flywheel for all the different points in the space. We want to be an operating system. So we want to be an operating system in the sense that we don't want to be alone. We will never succeed alone. So we want to federate other associations that we work together. We oftentimes have twinnings in our initiatives in a way that we can be united under one objective. We can then create an enabling ecosystem for startups who believe Puglia is and will be their home. And this will not be possible without institutions, and today is a great example for that. And of course, we want to continue making Puglia a great place to invest. So we welcome startups and investors to believe in this project. Final step, we need you as well. We're building a matchmaking platform that will create this flywheel naturally. So we'll be able to create opportunities for talents to connect to businesses. We'll create opportunities for investors to get to know what we're doing. So this will only happen if we all believe in this project. So we invite you to sign in and fill in this form so that in the coming months we'll be able to together pursue this goal. So I'd like to now introduce today's session. We'll have the first session from Marco Aboav, Vice President as well from our PugliaTechs, who'll be introducing us to a framework. And I would say that there's no better introduction than him himself introducing the framework. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Francesco. We started a bit late, so my 15 minutes talk is going to be a little bit shorter, but I'm trying to give you really the juicy part of what could work potentially here in Puglia. This is not a pitch about my company, it's a pitch about a framework that could work pretty well, I think, given the constraints we have in Italy, but particularly in Puglia. So what I mean by this is typically we all face, if you are an entrepreneur, you know that it's so hard to start, you struggle, bureaucracy, cost, it's hard, right? So the 0 to 1 for anyone involved in startups is super hard. Now, we all know this, we all complain about this, but there is not yet a moving, an action plan to make this process easier. If you ask me, you have 100K and, where the money are going when I launch something new. Let's say I set up a SRL in Italy. If you include different costs, notary legal accounting and some others, it's easy to estimate between 15 and 20% that is going to go on non-core activities. So activities that don't generate revenues fast. Then the first element is cash. The second element is time. So you start and you are maybe a couple of guys, 3 guys. The CEO is typically the guy, or if you have a COO, that is kind of handling the bureaucracy and this kind of things, and he's going to waste a lot of time on this. So for some people, this is considered part of the business, right? The reality is that it's part of the business when you are a structure company. If you are at the beginning, you shouldn't care. In fact, if you talk to the guys in Y Combinator in US, the only thing that matters is really product and sales, and marketing is kind of attached to the sales component. The rest should be completely commoditized. Now, this is not happening in Italy, and the problem that we all face when we start is that time is the most precious element of the equation, right? And you might spend 20% because you're fast, 30%. It will not be 5% or 3%. So this is very, very important. And the third element is like, okay, assuming that no matter the outcome, you're going to spend time on the, you know, on the monetary side, let's say 20K, and on the time side is going to be 20, 30%, 90% they're going to fail. So we are all in this process where the outcome, the average outcome is very low. Is you play against the odds. You don't want to spend time on things that are playing absolutely against the odds. So this is the reality now. Everybody started with the same initial conditions. It doesn't matter if you have your own money or VC or whatever, where this money are coming from. You have exactly the same initial conditions. But at the same time, we have a precious resource, which is engineering talent. Now, if you think about what happened in US, most of the companies in the YC combinators, the founding teams are technical talent. So this is a very weird thing that you see in Europe, that you see a lot of people that are not necessarily very strong on the technical side, but this doesn't happen in US because, again, coming back to the point that it's like when people asking me, oh, but you have a CTO that you could be a matchmaking for my startups. You already start with a very difficult situation to set up a new business. So you need to understand technology to sell technology or to survive in selling technology. So we have good talent. We have good universities. We have, as an Italians are typically recognized as very creative in the way they do good work. So we have all of this. This is the raw element that we have in Italy. Now, but if you move an engineer into an entrepreneurial activity, there is a gap, which is no big tech alumni. We don't have Meta, Google, and all these kind of firms here, so you don't have the network around these companies. If you are an engineer, you are not necessarily going to have the same career path that you have in US or UK. And the third one is, it doesn't matter if you're an engineer or whatever you do, the risk-averse culture is the dominant culture still in Italy, and it's even more true here in Puglia. It's changing again, but is an element that doesn't help making companies successful. Now, how can we change a little bit this kind of situation here? So we know that the bureaucratic maze is there. Even investor side, so it's not just engineers turning entrepreneurs, but it's also investors that are very risk averse. Simple example: I have an investor that I reach in US. After 3 days, he wired me the biggest check I have in my cap table. To convince Italian investors, it took months to get this done. So this is the reality of the difference between a developed ecosystem and an ecosystem that is growing but is still emerging in a way. So how we're going to change here? We're trying to propose here really a 0-to-1 framework to make companies defensible in a way, and they can play offense. So let's say, pitches content, more products that you can actually sell. And the thing is, there are a lot of different versions, like, if you have a Latin American business, but typically they have an headquarters in US, they have different definition of, Mexican wrappers, Latam wrappers. So you have the headquarters in US where you get the money, and then you deploy the money in the local market. And I use the bruschetta way because bruschetta is something that we all know, also abroad, although it could be called frisa, but you will find out. But it's something that we know is well recognized, and the analogy actually is very, very close to the problem we're trying to face. So, again, I'm using bruschetta, but the analogy is for the frisa, so we all know what is a frisa. Is like the bread. So the core ingredient is very hard. You cannot sell in any restaurant the core ingredient. Nobody's gonna buy. You need the water to make it eatable, and you need the topping to actually sell the product. So this is the analogy I'm trying to make today. The water, so again, the raw material is the engineering talent. It's necessary for a successful company, is not the main, let's say, is one of the ingredients. You need some water. And you need, in this case, I mean, I'm a financial engineer, so I love financial engineering. And so I thought, let's try to use financial engineering to a problem that we all face. So, and of course, common sense. So what I'm trying to add, you know, comparing to the bruschetta analogy here, is financial engineering and super standardized ops. So how can we, again, fix the 0 to 1? Now, you start a company, you have all the operation of setting up a company, accounting, legal, there are a lot of different costs for something that, again, the probability of success is 10, let's say 10%, maybe it's 5%. Does it make sense? That's kind of the question I'm making. You know, I always ask to friends around. I'm not sure. So what is the innovation here? This is not a venture builder. This is a completely different framework, because assuming that you start with a legal entity, that is a little bit kind of let's say the aggregator of ideas. And you start with, let's say, here is 10 million, but let's say 5 million, 3 million, whatever is the number. And you give potentially 100K check to one founder, 2 founders, 3 founders, you know, depending on the batch. And when you start, right, what's the point of creating a new company? You need, in the first 6 to 12 months, you're going to die almost to make it work. You don't want to spend time on all, again, the non-core activities I mentioned before, but you want to have something which is essentially ready to build and sell. What it means is that you become a consultant, or you have a contract for 12 months where you build and sell via this company already your product. You can leverage, of course, again, the legal, the accounting, the marketing, all these things are, you don't give opinionated feedback to the team. The team has to build his own products, his own success, but everything that is non-core should be the commoditized element of this idea. Now, of course, someone might say, hey, but what happened next and so on, which is the key aspect. So you are working as an intrapreneur initially, so within a firm, but you have the same economics of an entrepreneur. And I will show you how. Just to conclude here, let's assume that you're able to set up, you know, to build the products and sell the products in the first 12 months. And you realize that actually no more pitches or not just decks around, you actually have a product you can sell. So suddenly, if you go and pitch around UK and US, you actually are selling a product. You are pitching a product. You are not pitching with a deck. You don't need a deck anymore. But they are going to ask you, where is your incorporation? And they will tell you, oh, but in Italy we don't invest. Oh, but unless you are a Series A, I'm not going to invest. Which is pretty much the 99% blocker of everything that happens in Italy. So what's next? Let's say that you, in the first 12 months, you reach your milestone, you are successful, and you really wanted to jump to the next step. Key aspect here, so the one on the left-hand side. Again, I mentioned you are an entrepreneur, you are an intrapreneur with the same economics of an entrepreneur. You get automatically an IP transfer of what you build in exchange for something which is called in US most favored nation. So essentially is you get the IP, okay? I just want to get a right to be in the equity of the next raise you're going to do in US. So you set up a company in Delaware. We know how to do it. It's super simple. Of course, you need guidelines, but it's super simple to set up everything in US, in UK. You know, it's really 10 clicks almost. But the point is, what's going to happen to the guy that was working internally and said, well, I want to have the IP. Typically, is the spin out of universities, the typical massive negotiation, how much is the value of my, of my IP internally in the university. Here we're saying completely a pre-transfer in exchange for an MFN save. So we actually have, we give you kind of a predefined, IP transfer for having a rights to invest in the next round. Legal and accounting is super standardized in US. And of course, fundraising, US network. So even with PugliaTechs, we are creating this network from San Francisco to where people in Tokyo, in Singapore, is really like becoming pretty big. And of course, at some point, it's your journey. So you're not anymore an intrapreneur, you are an entrepreneur. So good luck with your endeavor. What is the other situation? So as I said before, 90% they fail. Someone is going to burn money, part of the game. Other option is like, well, I don't want to create a unicorn. I don't want to have the ambition. I want to do a kind of pseudo bootstrapping business. Fine, but as an entity that invests, he prefers to, as a business, the economics of this business, it tends to work pretty well if you chase unicorns. So you know that a lot of firms are going to die, and you chase 2, 3, couple of outliers in your portfolios. But here we are saying, forget about exchanging the equity of a local company, because if you want to go, if you want to bootstrap, you don't want to have investors. Fine. Essentially, again, the IP transfer here, and again, it's automated, should be pretty straightforward, is to get a revenue financing exchange. So I don't want to have the equity of the stake. I just want to get back my 100K with your revenues. So go and do your bootstrapping way, but just get back, my 100K revenues. So a little bit to sum up, we have the raw ingredient, we can have the water with a bit of engineering, financial engineering, and then, you need the topping to sell, to really, really sell, which is, again, if it's a VC game, you need to go to US, you need to be in London. So again, from a, just to conclude now, again, what investors cares? Great talent, should be easy to create a startup, should be like a madness. And they want to also have zero friction investment. So something that is easy to invest. That's why in US, you start with something which is basically 3 pages, and that's it. You sign it, you get the money next day. That's the way it's done abroad at the beginning. So this is the story. This is the first day that I presented this. We're going to obviously share these ideas with more stakeholders, maybe in the north or in other locations. So if you want to talk about that, and again, this is not a proposal, this is not a business proposal, it's a framework that can be shaped depending on the needs and also about the real local communities that they can feed this kind of ecosystem. So that's it. That's the story. So thanks for hearing the story. And now we move to a quick panel. We have Francesco Inguscio from Milan coming specifically for the event, and he's going to have
just landed,
right? And so we have few entrepreneurs from Puglia and from Salento actually that there's going to be a talk about now, not anymore about 0 to 1, but from 1 to infinity. So I guess I leave it to you.
Thank you very much, Marco. So we start with the timer. Calm down. So I will just thank you for inviting me here, and I will ask to Stefano, Alessandro, and Alessandro to join me here with the panel, just to start very quickly, because the bruschettas are waiting for us, even the physical one. So, guys, please introduce yourself in 1 minute each, just to let everybody know who are you, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. So, hi, I'm Alessandro Monticelli. I'm the founder and CEO of Green Independence. I'm an engineer as a background. Green Independence is a startup that is developing a multifunctional solar panel that adds to normal PV panel 2 layers. One that purifies wastewater and desalinate seawater, and the other one to produce green hydrogen locally in a decentralized way to lower the cost by 90%.
Hi, I'm Alessandro Persano, CEO and co-founder of Weave, a talent managed company located in Melpignano, a town near here. 9 years ago, with 3 friends of mine, we decided to leave a permanent job in a university company to launch Weave. That was our lab when we try to create our ideal job place where we can create each element, each different condition that allow us to make better technology and better solution to provide new services, people service principally, to corporate in order to transform what is a human resource, that is a bad word for us, to a people services.
Hi, I'm Stefano Ingrosso, founder and CEO of Suenpan. We are a company that started in 2016. Now, our mission is to develop and to spread and to share the music as a tool for personal development and wellness. And in order to accomplish this mission, we build infrastructure, tools, digital and tech application and musical instrument that can habilitate and introduce people to the joy of music.
Perfect, thank you very much. So, guys, let's start from the dark side of Puglia your Puglia experience. So, I will ask to each of you what makes your growth slower in Puglia. So what happened, just to provide us some information about the handicap you face by starting here instead of starting abroad.
I would say that the main problem in Puglia, most than Italy in general, in addition to bureaucracy, is attracting talent. So we have a lot of talents, but most of us moved in the north or abroad. I was one of them, and ask them to come back for something that is a small company that has a big ambition is very hard to do. So there is not a very strong and interconnected ecosystem of talents in the south, and I think that is what is slowing us down. I want to change that, and I think that being here with PugliaTechs is one of the way to do it. I hope that everybody shares this type of vision and issue, because as you said, as we said before, we have in Italy we are lucky. We have a very strong engineering talent and inventive and creative talent, but we have also a very strong, let's say, risk adverse approach also for the talent. So they don't want to risk to have a crazy job, and so they tend to stay in a big firms, big corporates that make them feel safe, and they waste a lot of their potential without using it in I think the best way possible.
I don't think so that there is a dark side that depends from Puglia. Before 2020, probably it would be easy to say that the distance from main innovation hub should be the point. But in the last years, Puglia is take over a lot of region in Italy. I don't remember, I'm not sure, but we are the 4th region in Italy for gross revenue. We have a lot of structure. In this day, we are probably the first region that have a talent policy dedicated to talent law, that is a framework that help public institution to allow talents to come back. The dark side probably arrives from a national level, the bureaucracy, the time wasted in repetitive task on useful task. Regionally, I believe that probably in this moment we are in one of the best place to make business.
We started in 2016, and I remember that it was a completely different Puglia when we started. Now we are living at different times for sure. One of the first struggle that we faced in that moment, it was that, but in our specific sector, is a niche of the musical instrument sector. It was so hard to find the right customers. And so, a company typically is a entity that try to satisfy a customer needs with a product or service. So finding the right customer is so hard. But it could be, we try to exploit it in this situation in order setting up a company that had very worldwide mindset, a broad mindset. And I think this is something that all the companies here in Puglia now have to start with, because it's impossible for us to think that could be a long-standing market for us just in Puglia or in Italy, but we should build something that could be useful for the world.
So thank you. So guys, just the last question about the dark side. So then we will move to the light side, okay? So we are all Jedi inside in the end. So what is the worst moment you faced doing business here? The worst moment you remind?
I think that I'm reliving it probably right now. Is during fundraising when I said to my investors or my potential investors that I wanted to build a company here in the south, and I wanted to build a hardware company here in the south, so something that you have to build, ship. They always ask me, why in the south? Why there? Why not like do some like stuff in Milan and then everything else over to China? And that was kind of one of the hardest explanation to give. And I think that in the light side questions, I will tell you why I convinced them to make the deal and move forward. But now I'm again in fundraising, so it's kind of a nightmare that keeps on repeating. Now I'm more skilled to answer the questions. But yeah, in general, we have a bad reputation, especially if you think about labor work, blue-collar jobs. Everybody thinks that people here wants to enjoy the sun, so it's good for tourism, but like to make stuff, precision industry, mechanical industries and stuff like this, no, why this? Go to China. I think that this could be the next Silicon Valley, or as I would like to call it, Green Valley, because we can really do serious stuff about like sustainability and green technologies here in Puglia, and we have to also start from hardware. So that's kind of my take on that.
But probably as each single startup, the beginning was a nightmare. It's something that in that moment is horrible. After years, we remain a wonderful moment in our mind. But for people like me that doesn't come from a family of entrepreneur, it's hard to start a company. In last year, there was born a lot of structure that accompany a person in order to build a new company. 9 years ago, when we start, was really hard. I saw in a previous slide something that is about often someone miss or skip totally financial tools, financial instrument. We was in the same situation. We arrive at the moment that we have to receive a huge amount of money from Invitalia, but we wasn't in the right condition to receive. So there was 2 months that I remember now in a romantic way, but I can assure that was a nightmare when you have to pay people, you have to pay services, and you don't have cash capabilities. But we have to cover, we are here, so we learn. We say, if we don't die, we learn.
As always, I used to saying to my employees, tomorrow could be the worst period because you never know. But for sure, the pandemic period has been for us a manufacturing company that used to sell instruments in a B2B2C way with our partners, that 80% of sales were generated by offline sales. During the pandemic, in just one day, we reduced our sale by the 80%. So it was so hard for us to turn around the company and setting up a B2C strategy in a couple of months. And it was so hard for us in that period. A lot of nights we spent awake, but it was so helpful because we introduced another possibility for us, new tools, and at the end of 2022, our revenue stream was completely different, but the final turnover was the same.
Perfect, thank you, Stefano. So now let's talk about the light side, okay? So the light side of being here in Salento, in Puglia. So let me and let us know how you leverage the local network, the legacy, the Puglia legacy, the ecosystem here for your business. At least one positive side each.
No, I can quote several. I will start by saying that we have a huge advantage compared to the northern half of Italy because the cost of living and the quality of living here is still very competitive, also against other countries in Europe and in other poorer countries, so North Africa and Middle East. We are definitely very competitive on that side, which can be a great advantage when you have to hire, if the people that you hire understand that part. So you have to, the only, let's say, workaround is that you have to bring them here, pay for their staying for a little bit, so they understand that the quality of life and cost of living is much more interesting, and that's a positive that they can take back when they have to negotiate their salaries. On the other side, we have a huge opportunity, especially in my personal, let's say, experience, because a lot of large companies that used to be here and they used to, let's say, exploit Puglia resources from the energetic standpoint. I'm talking about Enel, that I'm from Brindisi, so over there was the largest thermoelectric coal power plant in Europe, and they're leaving. So from some people it's kind of a nightmare, from some other is a dream. For me is a huge opportunity, because a lot of skilled worker needs to be reassigned, a lot of talent needs to be reallocated, and you can reallocate the talent that somebody else has already prepared and structured for the market in your own new, let's say, development, and they don't have to relocate. So a lot of the opportunities are in this type of tricks. The largest one that I think that we have, and probably everybody will share that point, is that Puglia at the moment is one of the best region for to financiate with grants innovation. So I think that Puglia has the most complete instruments to support company that wants to do R&D, that wants to do innovation both in software and hardware, that wants to create a new generation of entrepreneurs is one of the best in Europe in terms of supporting the company. So if you sum these three factors, you have a great opportunity compared to the rest of the world, not only the rest of Italy.
Some nice ingredients for the bruschetta with Marco.
I think that now it's the moment to looking for our way to make a startup mindset. In this year, we have imported a model, an economic model to make a new entrepreneurship more risk-oriented than Italian usual. But probably it's not our model, the right model. In Apulia, in these years, there was a lot of new laws that help company to board, to grow. There is a lot of policies that give advantage, economic and management advantage to big company, the big tech that arrive here. This is useful to learn or work. It's not useful for our talent that it was grabbed with this big tech. Probably, my opinion, is arrived the moment to try to merge an Italian approach that makes that arrives from cooperative or consorti, something that make together startups to build something of new. There are startups that has that own as a dream the unicorn ambition. It's okay, but I think that we can evaluate the system from the unicorn. A few years ago, when you go in a meeting like this to say something about Puglia, people mention it continuously black shape. That was a unicorn. I think that is the moment to make a law or mechanism that helps startup that has no unicorn ambition, but is solid, is a systematic grow path to merge, to build something that is bigger, that is ready to have an international challenge competition. Otherwise, we risk to have a lot of small companies that is more innovative, but that fall in the same Italian error that has that is to have an economic system that is based on few big players that risk to go out. Today we lose Iveco. And a lot of small company that is rich of talent, but is not enough strong to compete in a global challenge.
We should consider that Silicon Valley is called like this because in 1970s, some companies were there to dig silicium. And for this reason, they exploited this unfair advantage in order to build up ecosystem. We should be able now to exploit our unfair advantages here in Puglia, and we have a lot of them. One idea is that the green economy here could be flourishing because we have a lot of unfair advantages despite other places in the world. And it means that we can exploit these possibilities. And so never forget how we can be good in what we already are. And our company, for example, is so good in the capacity we have to deliver good quality because we have the artisanal and crafted manufacturing way of doing product. And we do uncrafted products, for example. And so this is how we can use Puglia for Puglia advantages, in order to go abroad and having a bigger impact. And another, I think, possibility is to be able to find the right people that usually go abroad to find new possibilities, but they had that craving ambition to do something from the land they are from, and I think there are a lot of possibilities to match these two qualities that Puglia has.
Thank you, Stefano. So, since scale up means growing the business, and for us, if we start here and remain here, there's no growth, of course. How are you approaching the internationalization side of your business, so your growth abroad? Whatever abroad means, abroad could be the rest of Italy or the rest of the world, okay? So what about your experience in internationalization?
So what we do is a global product. So our solar panel and the hydrogen market and the water desalination market are all like global markets. So we cannot think that we have to be here in a nest and sell only here in Puglia or in Italy or in Europe. We have to sell globally. So our approach is this. We are now trying to create a manufacturing capacity here that is already capable to compete in terms of cost globally. Of course, the next steps are opening 2 subsidiaries, one in US, where we already have ties and connections, and the other one is in the Emirates, where we have also ties and connections, because they are 2 huge markets for both water and now with Trump less, but also hydrogen. These are kind of the step 1 for the internationalization. The step 3 will be able to also open Asia and open the Australia. So our approach is gradual, but leveraging a lot the connection that we have. So the networking part of our job is to find right partners that can be either commercial partners so they can sell for you, or even industrial partners so they can even produce or manage the logistics of your assets. So.
Let me split the concept into different parts: internationalization and scale up. As we was born in international layer too, because we work at the science 7 years ago with big firms in consulting in order to provide our services of talent management for huge and wide geographic distributed company. We worked for a big energy firms and serve over 40,000 employees around the world. We worked for firms in consultant and we provide with our AI solution career path and career suggestion for people that works in Italy, Greece, Turkey, US. Internalization for us was natural because our category of services was naturally ready for that market. Scale up is the other side. This is the dark side in my case, because it's really hard to move, not from national to international, but it's really hard to move in my case from consulting services to something that is scalable, like a product or like standard services. In that moment, we have to choose what we want to do when we become adults. Probably the most easy way should be to be acquired. We received 3 or 4 proposals for this. Now we was thinking about it because we are persuaded that make startup, makes company here means that probably we are mad And probably we want to shape our landscape because it means that we are not people that say around the world that Puglia is a marvelous landscape. We build this landscape each day, building our company, increasing the payment of our employee, adding welfare if you are a small company, shaping a place like this one that was unused and now is coming back to live with events like this. I think that we are building future in the right way, from the right behavior, and I think that internationality should become naturally step by step.
I think Italian companies are so good in creating amazing products, but not so much in creating amazing environments, ecosystems, in which customer can meet the company in many touch points. And I think the way we approach our internalization and scale up in this way, because you can approach this company problem trying to create an environment, ecosystem in which customer can land even from different touching points and then be connected with your business. Because the hardest part of the business is to have a product, or in this case an ecosystem that could be long-standing for a long time, that can generate values in the long term, and defend from incumbents, building up your barriers. And I think a useful way is building up an ecosystem in which customer can be satisfied with the product service you provide, and even sometimes less customers, but more valuable customers.
Thank you, Stefano. So before the most important part of the event, so the networking side and the dining side, we can, before taking a picture all together, I will let you tell something to our friends, the international friends, of course, to whom we have talked during these talks. Sell Apulia to them in 10 seconds. Think about it. Why they have to come here? There.
Okay. If you want to find a place where to combine great quality of life and cost of living and talents and way to connect to yourself and to your idea, and grants, and plus grants, non-dilutive grants, come to Puglia.
Okay. Second?
It's not easy, yeah.
If you want, you can pass and wait and think about it, and then Stefano will...
I'm really nice fog producer. If you're looking for a place to make a great job, great life, probably Puglia should be the right choice. But if you are not enough persuaded about it, try to think a place where the people each day build future, where people each day build Puglia a better place to live, each time, each day.
I think I could be provocative now. I'd say don't come. Don't come, Puglia. We don't need.
Tell them.
We don't need that you come. But we can be attractive because we can be, since yesterday, the best place for the sound of the sea, for the foods and everything. And now we even have the best minds and the best, I think, mindset, because here people want to do things, and this is, I think, the best preset to start something grateful.
So thank you guys, a huge applause for you. So let's take a picture all together and keep in mind that we can make Apulia great again. Oh, la. Brividi.